Hello, and welcome to all you listeners out there in podcast land. My name's Tim Nicholson, and this lecture is designed to show you what imperialism is all about. How does Europe take over the world from 1870 to 1914? This will be the second of our lectures dealing with imperialism. The first one dealt with imperialism in Europe, and this one deals with imperialism in Africa specifically. So here you can see the whole world by this point was being divided up into empires. Countries such as Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Spain to a degree, even tiny little Belgium started to take over large chunks of land outside of Europe. Even the United States was getting into this game by this point. The United States is moving west into Alaska and into Hawaii, which you can see, hopefully, by this map. Imperialism is the creation and maintenance of an unequal economic, cultural, and territorial relationship, usually between states and often in the form of an empire. A colony, on the other hand, is a territory under the immediate control of a state. So you can be an empire without having colonies. You can have unequal economic control, such as the British had with South America, or the United States has with Iraq. Arguably, Iraq is not under the immediate political control of the United States. But you can say the United States has a great deal of control in Iraq, so it can be a part of an empire, but not part of a colony. So these are the two important terms. You can also see protectorate, but it's important to understand that you can have an empire without having specific colonies. This is just a review slide designed to help recap what we talked about in the previous lecture. We talked about the Boy Scouts and how national rivalries and technological advances all contributed to this new imperial project. Right? It's now you have new racism, social Darwinisms justifying that Europeans are the most advanced race in the world. Not just any Europeans, but Western Europeans. And arguably the British would say they're the most advanced. They're on top. They're better than all other races out there. So you see new racist stereotypes emerging by the 1870s. People are misinterpreting Darwin's ideas and applying them to social and racial situations. And when Europeans go to Africa, they argue that Africans are inherently beneath them. Europeans are better than Africans. But there is a bit of a paradox here, because Africans can't be that inferior because it's the Europeans' goal to uplift Africans and bring them into the new modern world of the 1870s and 1880s. So Africans are inherently inferior to Europeans, but they can't be so far inferior that they can't be saved. They can't be uplifted. They can't be bettered. So hopefully you understand what's on this slide based on the previous lecture. If you don't, please let me know as possible. And here are two great European songs, British songs specifically, that capture the essence of the European imperial project. You can quickly read these over, but I just want to point out the second one, how it ends. The British are going to stay home and fight and send the Hindu, the people from India who they already rule over, to fight their imperial battles for them. It's not going to be the British doing the fighting. It's going to be the Indians. And the British are masters at this. They're great at getting other people that they rule over, to associate themselves with the British rule and do essentially what the British want them to do. And here you can see the Europeans, the French and the British specifically, dividing up the world. And in the other picture, Cecil Rhodes straddles Africa. It's now a British continent, with a few other people in there. One last point before I briefly sign off this part of the lecture. Here you can see a British cartoon. On the right, it's two Americans fighting. It's the North and the South. America's experiencing its civil war during this point. And this British figure in the center, he needs his cotton. Britain needs cotton to fuel its industrial revolution. And with the United States fighting, the North and South fighting, the supply of cotton has been cut off from the United States. And the British are going to look to other places for their supply of cotton. And here you can see the Indian in the background. The British are going to look to India for cotton. They're going to look to their empire for cotton. And they're going to start looking to Africa, especially Egypt, for access to cotton, for Egyptians to grow cotton to replace the loss of the United States. Now, these next couple slides are designed to introduce you to King Leopold's Ghosts, the book that you're reading and hopefully have been reading for the last couple of weeks. Right? King Leopold, this lonely, disgruntled minor monarch in Belgium, wants large swaths of territory. He wants territory anywhere he can get it. He knows he's just a minor figure in Europe. Nobody really cares about tiny little insignificant Belgium. Nobody cares about poor Leopold. Nobody cares about him. He's in this loveless relationship. He's essentially been ignored by his father. He's ignored by the Belgian people. But by playing European powers off against each other at the Berlin Conference, he gets this huge swath of territory in the Congo. And he's going to use concession companies to maximize his profit from the company. He knows that he can't develop the Congo himself, so he's going to allow other companies to dominate it for him, to extract stuff from the Congo, specifically rubber. He's going to use rubber in this new expensive crop where Europeans are demanding it to maximize his profits from the colony. And here you can see a picture of the man, and here you can see the effects of his rule. Right? People that aren't gathering enough enough rubber, have their hands chopped off. Other people in the Congo, under the command of Europeans, go around, and if you don't gather enough cotton for that enough rubber for that particular month, your hands chopped off. That's your punishment. And if you fail again the next month, you fail to gather the required amount of rubber, they'll chop your hand off again. And missionaries are going around during the same time period, taking pictures of how the Belgians actually ruled the Congo. And they're deliberately taking these pictures with African children, designed for sympathy, wearing white so they can clearly see the hand being cut off, to play to European audiences, so that other Europeans can see how Leopold is mismanaging his country. You can see a few more pictures. And lastly, you can see this famous poster with people's hands shut off from the Congo. Missionaries are taking pictures and telling other Europeans how bad life is in the Congo. All right, there's more to this, but I've reached about 8 minutes, so I'm going to stop this lecture for now and continue it again next week. All right, take care. All right, thanks for listening, and please keep reading King Leopold's Ghosts. Feel free to email me any questions you might have. Thank you.